Let's try that now. I think the mic should be working now. Cool. I heard myself. Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. Long UEC, huh? Oh, wow. Look at that. Uranium. How about that? You know, the nano nukes also just pull it out of their stall as well. So, hello, everybody. Again, happy Thursday. Welcome to the support session. Steve here. Happy to help talk about anything you want. Trading. I always just start rambling about trading and markets, but feel free to interrupt me at any time if you're here for support. If you're a new user, this hour really is for you guys and girls. And I'll always give that priority. So don't feel like you have to wait if you're here to, if you were sent here by support for some assistance, you've got priority. Otherwise, I'll just start talking. All right, I just sold some GFAI. So Andy and I have been like patiently watching this one, watching. It's an AI stock, it's a robotics stock, it's a foreign stock, but the 200-day moving average has just been killing it. Well, today I noticed this and that. I said, Andy, today's the day. So we're both long some. And for those of you that know, my perfect time frame on a good winning trade is a day and a half. So I am in a day, and I just sold some just to thin out a tiny 15% right there, just to kind of book some in the back pocket. But I fully expect this trade to marinate for a day and a half. Those blue lines are maybe a couple of possible targets. I love the small caps when they get going. There's no real short flow to speak of in this one. It's just, it's robotics is hot right now. There go another uptick. So I've been watching this name closely, but the real story here is the plan for this trade is a day and a half. Once these things get going and you get a nice monster candle, hopefully, knock on wood, it closes on highs here today. That's day one. Day two things can happen. You can get a giant gap up, which you immediately want to take a lot off the table, or it trades and moves higher into the second day. And after a good push in the morning, meaning any stock in momentum, is what I anticipate GFAI to do. On that second day in the morning, after a second push of momentum, it tends to run out of steam. And all that really is people like myself and other traders or whatnot trying to take some off the table and book something. That's price action 101. It can only go so far, so fast for so long. And to me, something that's in full explosive, look at the relative volume here. We got 6 times relative volume. The 5-minute and 1-minute volumes are obviously very strong. I forgot to put my thumbnail up. We can see from where it's come. It's come a long way down. Even on this 1-year graph, it's been a lot higher. So there's nothing wrong with getting back to the $2 range in this thing. But again, I wanted to really highlight my plan on this one as a day and a half trade. It could wind up here, 150-ish. Actually, I'm going to move that up there to 150. All right. Hello, everybody. BBAI, she came back alive. I want to address something. For those of you that heard me talking on Tuesday, I got to follow up on something. Yeah, that's a nice one. We talked about Palantir, Patrick, on Tuesday. Well, sheepishly, sadly, I'm not in it. You guys heard me on Tuesday. I was kind of concerned about a possible sell-off, and I didn't know we needed one, and I didn't know how deep it could be. I said we could come back to the 20, and that would just be probably textbook. Healthy would be a big sell-off to the 50, but I don't think this market has it in it to pull back that far. We've got so much going on. The crypto legislation being done right now is a huge deal. The tariffs are bringing in more revenue than people thought. You got people kind of turning around going, wow, well, maybe this is kind of a good thing. And point being is that price action is telling me don't fight it. And what I want to address is that we had a little spike down here yesterday. And that got me out of a lot of stuff because I came into yesterday just kind of feeling like we were overbought. I mentioned I just felt like we were inching out on the branch a bit too far and in thin air. we needed a pullback. Well, guess what? I think coming into today, I realized yesterday this was the pullback that we got. Wasn't deep enough for some people, but it is what we had. And that little spike down and up got me salivating today. I came back in with cash to burn, cash to buy stuff in my 401k. I can't margin that stuff, and went to work. So I'll go through my portfolio in a minute. Would you place a target up there or simply place a market sell at the top of a big wave? Are you talking about GFAI? If you are, I would do what I just did a minute ago. And that is, I love to set limit orders out there and just let them sit, let them marinate, and let people come up and chase and buy what I'm offering. I've got what they, okay, so first thing I did was I looked at this, look left. Barry says it all the time. I say it all as well. Look left. We've got a high of 133 here. Yeah, you can play it a couple ways. You can uptick it. I'm sorry, front run it and go 132. You could match it and go 133. Like I said, I want to see how much they want to buy this. So I put a 15% limit sell order for 15% of the total at 134, a penny above that resistance, just to kind of let me know a buyer was not afraid to reach up and take it, and just took 35 a second ago as well. So to continue with your question, let's look left again. We want to find areas of pivot and areas of interest. I'm going to close this just for a moment, and we're going to look back here. Okay, so I'm looking at this line right here. Boom, boom, boom. There's pretty much a pivot right there. So that's my first level, and it just so happens to be, I believe, 150. 150. The second level I've got up here, pre-drawn, is 172. I think everybody can see why I drew that level. Bang, bang, support, resistance, support, resistance, resistance. So I've identified two pivot levels, which are going to be my target for, hopefully, look at all this pent-up demand down here. I would shoot myself in the leg if I, for any reason, sold right here, because I looked down at the P&L and saw how much I was up. And that's an early mistake I used to make very early on. I've identified this as it's triggered. It's on. Do whatever you have to do to look away and not find a way to change your mind and take profits on the green numbers that you see in front of you. Doesn't matter if it's 500 or 5,000. It's different to everybody. But to answer your question, which is a great one, we're looking left. And what I'll do now is, probably a bit early, but I might do it here in the next bit. I'm going to offer a bit more at 149. So I'm going to front run that 150 number, which is kind of a round number. Let's try. And so I'm going to go ahead and open up GFI over here on my other screen. We're going to sell another lot at 149. I'm doing it this way because you want to get ahead of the chessboard. You know, you play chess, you're thinking two moves ahead. I used to fly, be a pilot, and I want to get back into that one of these days. But it was always taught, you fly the plane 2 miles ahead of the nose. You're always anticipating what's coming up. And so if I just put a price alert in there and GFAI spikes up and triggers that price alert, well, I don't have a sale. All I have is an alert. I might not get that price again for the rest of the day, and that's really frustrating. So once you've decided where the levels are that you want, I'm offering right now live at 149 for another, we'll call it 20% of this trade. And then I really want to just, hopefully it can get up there to 171. Ideally, like I said, this could be a day and a half trade. This is what I expect it to be. I'm going to let this thing roast and slow cook for a day and a half. Let me make sure I've got that order in. Yeah. Okay. So let's go through what I've got. So again, I came in today with a lot of cash, and I had a list of things I need to jump back in because, as I mentioned, I identified yesterday as good enough to scare out the weak hands. And once I saw this candle right here, and then the support right there, this is crucial right there. said, okay, we're back on. And I had to watch this because I didn't have any money. And then today, went to work. All right, I'm glad that's helpful. I love hearing that feedback. So GFAI, again, this is one that Annie and I have been watching, and I showed you the genesis of this one. I didn't even have an alert. I just got it on a ticker down here, and I pulled it up, and I saw a giant volume. It broke above the 200-day, and so it's on over there. CRNC, Brian Shannon showed me this one. It's similar to SoundCloud. I've been playing it a couple of times. I made some money back here, and then just got roasted trying to buy dips, and so I basically waited for it. Yesterday, I saw it. This little pinprick right there is just perfect, right on the open. I talk about that all the time. Running of the stops at a significant level, which has already been shown to be significant, the 200 SMA. So I was licking my chops. I bought this one pre-market right there. I woke up at 4 a.m. Pacific time. I bought that one pre-market. It's a AI specialty for drivers. So it's like, you're talking to the AI while you drive. That's all I know about it. AI, virtual assistant, mobility. Okay, so maybe like mobility and transit. Speak and drive. What's next? A lot of these names are names that I'm always in and out of because there's like a bigger picture reason. Again, I mentioned the Congress is voting on the Genius bill and some other bills that are all going to be extremely cryptocurrency friendly, blockchain friendly, I should say. The biggest hurdle, however, though, is they've got to find a way to put language in there that excludes and denies and never, ever, ever allows the central bank, known as the Fed or any other central bank, to create a stable digital currency, central bank digital currency. It has to be outlawed before this legislation should pass. Now, hopefully when it passes, we can talk about XRP and all that other stuff, but Rumble Media competes with YouTube, and they've been doing a lot of crypto stuff. So I bought some of that. I waited for it to push above this 130 today, had my eye on that. It killed me that I got out of DJT. I had a pretty good price. I took some profits, and then yesterday it lifted, and I was mad. So I bought this one pre-market as well. I'm actually pretty flat right here. I'm up a little bit. My average is about 1885. Same story here. All the news, you can look up the headlines on his Truth Media. They're doing tons of stuff with crypto, tons of stuff. Some people hate it. Some people think it's good. But if this legislation passes, I think both Rumble and DJT, based on their prior headlines aligning themselves closely with crypto and stuff, will probably benefit from that. So that's the bigger reason I'm in that one. HYMC, Patrick, I don't know why I'm such a glutton, but I'll do these as a group. I feel like silver is ready to pop again. Really nice pullback after that breakout. The silver miners are tough to trade, but I'm currently long AG. I bought this one on the open. Oh, it's starting to pop a little bit. Love the pullback. 4 days to the 20-day SMA. I'll take it. I'm flat right here. This is my entry. Take that all day long. I came in long CDE. I'm back to flat on this one. Another silver miner in HYMC. Also, I think the legislation could have an effect on gold and silver because of what I said on that Fed stuff, central bank stuff. Kodak, another name I jump in and jump out of. I was not in for this move, and I'd be pissed off if I stayed in and watched it round trip. So I'd let it come back in and settle down. The story here is they're going to make domestic chemicals. So any company around the world can come here and buy domestically produced chemicals to make pharmaceuticals, the basic stuff. They're positioned extremely well for that. Hertz, a lot of the shorts have been worked out of this one, but I like the way it's been consolidating. This has been one of I made a lot of money back here. I made some money here. So this is kind of my go-to. When this thing starts running, I want to be in it. So I've been in it for, actually I bought it yesterday, and I'm holding on to it today. Looking for a move there. Tesla, I think they're just going to be a dominant company. And if the market's going to go higher, so will Tesla. Almost done. UAVS, the drone stocks have been on fire lately. Just to show you a few, RCAT, UMAC, Brian showed me Archer, ACHR. So UAVS is an agriculture drone, but sometimes it doesn't matter when things get hot. If it has the word drone in it, people will buy it. And that's it. That's my portfolio for today and my reasoning. All right. Hello, everybody. Yes. Hello, Mir. Can I have a look at BRCC? Yes. Also, I'm happy to look at charts for people. I'll give you the unvarnished truth. Obviously, we got news over here. Offering a stock and it goes up. That's weird. Never see that. But technically speaking, whatever it's doing, people like it. And as long as it stays above this 10 SMA, it's going to stay in momentum. Probably going to have some follow through on that. It's just a matter of how much give back it might give back before it digs in. And you got to watch it closely to see where the buyers might show back up. Yeah, let's see here. I'm seeing some red coming through my ticker, which is kind of surprising. But how did I isolate those stocks? It's a good question. And I said before, I'm trying to open this up here. I don't necessarily, I've been trading so long that I kind of know what I like. And I'm down to just kind of trading my favorite groups of stocks. All right. So I've got all different types of quants, AIs, nano nukes, robotics. I kind of keep gravitating to the stocks that I know, and I'm always being introduced to new ones. Like Brian introduced me to CRNC. Apparently, there's a pretty good short float in this one, and it's similar to Sound. So rather than try to tweak a scan and just sit there and wait with bated breath for the next symbol I've never traded before to come out and maybe tempt me, I tend to gravitate more to the stuff that I know, and which brings up a good point. When you have a list like that of things that you know, hopefully these are the names that you're already in. GFAI. I don't pull up GFAI and start buying dark green. I should already be in this stuff. But I can come down here, and this is what I'll do all day long. I'll come down here and focus on my favorite names. What is on sale today? Oh, ARQQ is a quant stock. It's pulled back a little bit, so I'll just kind of have those conversations with myself. What's strong today? Well, the robotic stocks are strong today again, so that's why I'm in UAVS. GFAI also has the word robotics in it, and so that's keeping me excited right there. So the big answer to that question is I'm not sitting here waiting. I'll also go shopping a lot on this scan. Like if I've got some cash and I'm looking for something, same thing applies. Don't go chasing the one that's up 37%. Lucid, okay, they're the robo-taxi. Okay, so maybe there's some other auto-driving robo-taxi type spill-off plays. But we can go down here in the lower stuff. BKKT is a interesting play. This one shipped me out the other day. I'd like to be in this one because of the short float, but I'm not in it. Darn it. This thing probably will also take off if the legislation genius bill and all that passes. But the point being, I'll go through down here, and these aren't necessarily names I always trade, but they all have giant short floats. So I'll focus on the stuff that isn't that green. I could even go and turn the tree map off and just say, show me the stuff that's got the biggest short float. And I can just go through and do a deep dive and look at some of the stuff that has giant short floats. So that's the answer to your question. I'm usually trading names that I know, and I'm doing it for a reason. And it's probably a reason based on like sector strength. Okay, well, TI charts ever have crypto stocks included? So a couple things have to happen for that. 24-hour markets have to be created and built into trade ideas architecture, so we can scan not just for the market session. We have to find a way to calculate that. So there's a lot of steps that have to be done, but that is the plan. And since it's a plan, there is no date. Oh, I forgot to mention bull. I bought some of this morning. Webull. So they had some sort of news pre-market, and I saw them pull back down here to around 13, so I bought some at 13. Look at that daily. It's a nice breakout from that. Let's see, KRMN. So people, this is another way in which I learn new plays from you guys. All right. Carmen, I'd probably call this one Kremlin. Carmen Holdings. Missile systems. Okay. More defense related stuff. There's ONDS. They're more of like a network, I think a wireless network people can use. So all these new things are happening. And then of course XRPI. Pro shares start tomorrow. Excellent. We get some more ETFs coming out. Let's look at what's going on over there. So here's the 4-day chart. I'm sorry, the 4-hour chart. Let's switch up here for a second. And this is the thing that's of biggest note to me. Look at Bitcoin. 0. Bitcoin unchanged. XRP up 7.25%. All the ISO 20022 tokens, XLM, HBAR, XDC, they're green, but they're not being led higher today by Bitcoin. Usually that's the case. Big Daddy Bitcoin goes higher and the rest kind of rise. But now they're kind of finding their own legs. And this is, again, based on what's happening in Washington, D.C. today. So let's go to the dailies, shall we? I mean, just so you can get the picture, this is what happened when the election happened. There we go. Some of you have been around a while, so you know that I was stacking Bitcoin down here at 50 cents for a couple of years. And we've got all this data to work with now. Under sub $2 XRP does not seem like it's going to be an issue anymore. Look at how there's trying to run the retail people out by spiking it. And then all of a sudden we got closer really to all this legislation coming, because that's really what these things are waiting for. They're waiting for legislation. These aren't meme coins. These things have utility. And so now we can see the big picture over the course of a year almost here. And it could be a sell the news event. Don't get me wrong. We could get positive news out of Washington, D.C. And then, so all of this could be built in. But for the moment, it's good stuff in XRP land. I mean, we were just shaking out the $2 level here just 2 weeks ago, it looks like. 2.5 weeks ago at 180. Now we're up to 320. XLM is the secondary stepchild to XRP, which is banking and institutional, and XLM is peer-to-peer. HBAR is like Apple iTunes. Everybody gets paid, the artist, the license holder, the middleman, whatnot, but that's an interesting play as well. Okay. DPRO, drone in the news the last few days. DPRO. See another one. Oh. There's the key right there. Executive order deletion. There's so many things happening right now that markets just, I don't think they want to sell off on a market that's waiting with bated breath of what's coming next. There's GFAI making new highs as we speak. Thank you for that one. DPRO. You know what comes to mind when I look at this one? Day and a half. For those of you that have been watching since the beginning, I talked about stocks making a big move. There's day one. Here's day two. We got a half a day, and the momentum dies. There's our signal candle right there. The very first candle that couldn't hold the 10 SMA, the first one that breaks, that's when you sell for maximum profit. I don't know if Andy's in sound. He might be. I think he might be. Now, I'm in CRNC again, which is a new name. It's in my wheelhouse now. Brian Shannon showed me this one, and he's also done some good homework on this one where there's possibly a lot of shorts stuck in this one. So watching how it faked everybody out and brought in the FOMO and absolutely punished them. That was just a 5-day drubbing. A perfect bounce off the 200-day had me salivating pre-market to buy this one. So I'm not giving this one up. I've sold 20%. already today, just to kind of lighten up a little bit. There's another high in GFAI. So I fully expect GFAI to do the same thing, day and a half. Let me test my sound. Nope, I hear my sound. You should. It must be you. Sorry. AG just over VWAP. Let's take a look, Patrick. I'm long this one. Yeah, just over the 10 SMA as well. Usually what I've noticed is the 10 SMA and the VWAP are pretty much close, which in itself makes perfect sense as to why the 10 SMA holds so well when you've got a giant buy order competing with other buy orders. Everybody's trying to buy as close as they can to the VWAP, which is usually lined up similar to the 10 SMA for me. My feed. Yeah, I hear myself. Refresh. I'll type refresh. Yelling it in capitals. XRPI just went to highs. What? Oh, yeah. So $3.30 was the overnight high. I'm going to go back to the 4 hour. I like that 4 hour view. You can kind of see how things are developing. And that 4, you can stretch it out a little bit. H bar is close as well. Yep. No complaints. All right. Happy to look at any other charts you guys want. Again, I'm in this GFAI. I have a standing order to sell, some at 149. Yeah, that's lined up there. So if that blue line triggers, that's me getting some more GFAI, and then I'm done. I'm hopefully going to just let it sit because I think, again, there's been so much pent up demand. This isn't just a simple little breakout. This is a squeeze. If you guys can see this, I mean, this is literally a giant coiled up into a corner after a vicious downturn. We've got the buzzwords in there: AI, robotics, and now we've got volume off the chart. 7 times normal volume. This is just a dream. Now, how many times have I played and flatted or lost a few $100 here and there in this thing? A lot over the last couple of weeks, last 6 days or so. I'm not telling anybody to buy. I'm showing you why I found it early. First thing I tell people is when they pull up a chart and it's up this much and you see this much green, it's too late. It really is. I'm trying to walk you through more about how I found it, so maybe you can see the next one and why I liked it so much. Again, the 200-day was holding this thing back, but the higher base camps kept getting built. And so I just kept telling myself it's just probably just a matter of time. So it was a matter of me being prepared and really sitting on that pitch, to use a baseball analogy. Jeez, what's hurting me? Something's pulling back on me. UAVS pulling back on me a little bit. Yeah. You get one downtick in the market and you get a lot of red in your. What happened, AG? You were doing so well a minute ago. God, these things are just miserable. These silver miners are just miserable, miserable stocks that just don't want to bounce. Bull. I don't really have a profit in bull to take any. So again, I'm just kind of letting the stuff that I'm in try to work for me. And by the end of the day, I'll be pairing through this list of names. And if these silver names, CDE and HYMC and AG, if these things can't get out of their own way by the end of the day, then I'll cut them. But I'd kind of like to see that DC vote get done and see how these things react to them. I'll use the 200-day moving average as a catalyst. And if something's pulling back to the 200-day and it's been pretty strong, yeah. But in the case of GFAI, breaking back above it is kind of more of a significant play to me. Because as you can see, it got faked out here, resistance there, resistance like 4 or 5 times. So each and every time that it held back, but came back with a little bit more intent with higher lows, that's the kind of thing that you want to imprint on. And then, have a way of knowing, when it goes, put an alert right there. So you can see in the opening salvos, this is where I got it. I pulled it up. I saw a couple of big green bars above resistance. And this was all I needed to see right there. I said, oh boy, something's up. This is the day. So by no means am I talking about this to try and pull people into something that's up 12% already. Because you do that, and I've done it many times myself, well, especially in the past. I try not to do it. But you're just asking for that pullback, It's better to just wait. I mean, if I don't want to see a pullback because I want to see as much momentum as I can. But, if there is a pullback, you could consider it. But I would never try and steer somebody into buying highs after all these consecutive candles. That's what you don't want to do. Yeah, I had it on my watch list, really waiting for it to be pierced through. And I didn't necessarily have a price alert set, but this window right here means a lot to me. These are really the same names that you're seeing over here, but 15-minute high, 30-minute high. I'm in Tesla. Okay, I'm gonna pull that up. So I'm constantly kind of being poked and prodded by this window. And when I saw GFAI on the open, I immediately pulled it up because I was prepared. I was waiting for it. So, maybe that's not what some people want to hear in terms of, hey, I bought trade ideas to give me the perfect recipe of a scan that I can just, make money on. It's not that easy. There's a lot of nuance that goes behind it. I've got probably 50,000 hours of doing this, going back to 1998. Even longer, actually, part-time. Do I have a stop in place? Currently, I have no stops in place. Yesterday, I had stops. Now, with stops, I will never, ever use a market stop in the first 30 minutes. It's one of the hardest things that Andy and I learned to do is pull your stops so that Citadel and the algorithms can't stop hunt you. They're looking for liquidity. They're looking to swipe liquidity and reverse and shake the trees and get the low-hanging fruit to lodge, and then they take your shares, and at the end of the day, it's much higher, and there's nothing more frustrating. So the only way to combat that, and the reason that happens is everybody that goes to work has to look at the evening charts and then say, wow, boy, I sure would hate to lose this level. If this level breaks tomorrow, I'm going to get out. So they put a good till canceled stop in. And what do you think everybody else does? They do the same thing. And what do you think the algos see? They see the same thing, a big set of bowling pins to roll down. So I will never be part of that. Now, that means I've had to sit through some gut-wrenching opens, but as long as I start to see, some tails and some wicks start to pop in, once I get to the top of the hour, 10 o'clock East Coast time, and I still don't like it, I'll probably put a stop in at the lows. So if it goes back and tests the lows that tested everybody's patience on the open and retest that, I might put a stop there, or I might watch it and see if it's a double dip. That's a whole other story. The algorithms are programmed to do exactly what I'm talking about, to prey on people like me that go, okay, yeah, I was brave. I hung out, sat through that opening storm. Now I'm going to put my stop at the new low. Seems pretty simple. Well, the algorithms sometimes know that, and they do what Andy and I call a double dip, where they go down and they test that intraday low that was set in the morning, see if they can shake the trees a second time. The second mouse sometimes gets the cheese. So in that respect, if I really don't like it, I'll just put the stop in and say, just take it. But if I have conviction and I think that they might be trying to shake the trees a second time and double dip it, I'll watch it. I'll watch nothing else, but I'll watch that closely. And then if I do get a bump above it, then I'll put a stop below that second low. It's pretty nuanced, but that's how I play those. And it's probably good for people to hear that, because everybody's going to find themselves in a shitty situation where the market opens up against you and you're a deer in the headlights. Yeah, you can punch out, but you get tired of punching out on the morning, liquidity hunt, only to see it close up without you. That gets frustrating after a while. GFAI, no, I don't have a stop because my plan is day and a half. And that doesn't mean that I'm not going to take new high limit orders off along the way. This green line here was me selling 15% as it reached up and made a new high. This next blue line is an active order standing to sell another 20% at 149. Above that, I don't have it in yet, but I'll probably put a standing order in to sell some more at 171. If it can do that in one day, then bravo, I'll take it. But I have a feeling it might take a day and a half or 2 days. I've got some stuff I like to listen to on Rumble, which I'm long. There's some good stuff on there. The X22 report is my favorite. On Rumble. It's a guy that basically thinks like I do. He sees the whole 40,000 foot view like I do of politics. And he does two. He does an A and a B. The A is the Federal Reserve and the banking financial update. And the B is the political and DC stuff. And I think he's spot on. And he does pretty much an update every day during the week. And that's how I catch up. A lot of the stuff I see during the day, but when I get his take on it, how he kind of threads everything together, that's my favorite news source. X22 report, actually. Typically, good question. How long is that liquidity hunt? It can be really quick sometimes, or sometimes it can drag on a little bit. What you need to do is look left and then say, boy, we're 10 cents away from that prior low. You got to say to yourself, they're probably going to target that prior low, and resign yourself to the fact that I don't like it here, but I'm going to have to resign myself that that prior low is probably going to be tested from 4 or 5 days ago. That's just how the algos work. They're going to try and drive it down. And if there's anything underneath there, then it might take longer. But if there's really nothing underneath there, then you'll see a quick bounce. So it just kind of depends what the algorithms find under those critical levels. If there's a lot of liquidity, it might take a little longer to run through those stops. But if not, it might be a quick reversal. Yeah, Mike, if you listen to the X22 report, let me know what you think after a few episodes. Okay, what do we got here? Oh, it's already 40 minutes after. Let's check in with my stuff is decaying. What's going on? Okay, UAVS is not helping, but that's okay. So what happens here is I don't like it, but I'm saying, gosh, just what I was talking about a second ago. We are so close to this 5-day moving average, 140. I'd be foolish in my mind to sell it here just because I'm down in it. I have to wait and see what this area of interest does, how it resolves. Are the buyers going to support this, or is it going to become a losing trade? These silver stocks just, they're trying. Rum. See how rum pullback is holding that 10 SMA. I like that. Yeah, it might be a little different flavor than Bannon. Got some different takes. I'll warn you ahead of time. He will go back and look at some Q stuff, and that's always really interesting. Now I'm seeing a lot of red coming through my high-low ticker now. So yep, there's the first red tick after many, and it doesn't take much for the portfolio to lose its bid. drop a couple notches in the P&L. But as I was kind of alluding to earlier, the end the end of the day is where I take a look at my swing portfolio and say, you ain't going to make it. You are going to make it. I'll take you home. I don't trust you. So at the end of the day, I can kind of see how the candles are going to close and basically what everybody else is going to come home and study that doesn't have the benefit of being as close to the market as I am. That's acceptable. GFA got ahead of itself a little bit. I just want to see GFAI hold this level. That's all. We're only halfway through the day. But again, boy, what happened yesterday, that little hiccup down and up, that's kind of all the market needed. The market is so strong. It just needed that little flip of the switch there to kind of reset things. Not a very deep pullback. This is a 10 simple moving average on a 15-minute chart. I find it works best on the 15-minute chart because it'll hold momentum. So I expect it to hold the GFA momentum. Ooh, look at that. So that brings up a good point. We got 4 minutes and that wick better hold. I don't mind a trade through, but what I need to see is a bounce, and then I need to see the 15-minute candle close above. So this is healthy right here. As long as it holds that, as long as it doesn't round trip on me, I'm going to be really pissed if this thing round trips because it's got a lot of volume behind it. Yeah, the market pulls too, Jim. It kind of told us we had a cross here that the new stocks making new lows are outpacing stocks making new highs. And Dan kind of convinced me to run this and keep this up, and I like it. So it works hand in hand with my high-low ticker. Seeing a lot of red. This is the S&P 500 high-low ticker. So at least the S&P 500 stocks are trying to hold up. Does the server leak mean you and Chris still don't have access? I'm not actually sure what the server leak means. I might be behind on something. Yes, 10-day simple moving average, SMA, and then the other one, which is just as important as I was alluding to in UAVS, is the 5-day moving average. You can see how, look, it was acting as resistance back here. So this is more of a pivot. Rather than draw the 5-day moving average on here and clutter up my daily, here's the trick. Memory leak in the new server tech. I missed that part. The indicators, it's going to be it's not trade wave. They've changed this up on me. Let me just spell it out. It's 130 periods. If you do a 130 SMA, okay, on a 15-minute chart, you're going to get a smoothed out 5-day moving average. And this becomes a really critical intraday level for me. I mean, here's CRNC doing something, so I'll pull that up. Okay, look at trying to fight back and get it back above. I'll take that. So those are the only two moving averages I have on my 15-minute chart. I don't like the 5-minute. I don't like the 5-minute. It's too fast for me. When I was a day trader many moons ago and scalping quickly, I would use a 5-minute. But I need to pull back in my time frame, and 15-minute just works perfect for me. And the 10 SMA shows me stocks that are in momentum, and the 5-day moving average gives me a level of interest that I can judge depending on what part of the trade I'm in. Is it a winning trade, a losing trade? Am I going to enter a trade? Am I just watching a trade to make sure it's developing the way I want it to? So I'll be watching this UAVS, and I really need it to hold this level and start to find some support here at 140. because that's my worst trade of the lot. And if it doesn't do that, then by the end of the day, it's probably going to be going bye-bye. The silver miners are trying. One of the mistakes I make, Patrick, and the silver miners is I get frustrated with them midday and I sell them in the middle of the day and they laugh at me by close. But then you also have the overnight risk of the commodity. So what I do now is if I'm playing a silver miner or a gold miner, I wait till the end of the day to just let it unfold and let it show me its true colors. Yes, 10 SMA on the 15-minute chart. And the 5-day on the 15-minute chart, the value is going to be 130. So one value is going to be 10 and one value is going to be 130, both SMA. And if you do that, it'll give you this. Basically, I can give you it the same way. I can just share my chart settings with anybody else who's watching and maybe might want it. You can use that cloud link to load that chart setting. All right, CDE, I like seeing that. Crazy thing about silver is just that overnight risk you have to take home sometimes. Yeah, let's look at the futures chart. It's a much better way to look at it. And let's look at the daily. It is pretty. So I'm using a 10 SMA and a 50 SMA. And this is the future, so it's going to give you a different look than the SLV ETF. But giant breakout, 1, 2, 3 days of pause and pullback, finding buyers where, and this is where you want to make your entries. Not here, but give it 3 days of pullback and study, study, study. Even better if it lines up with the breakout. You've got 2 reasons to buy and be a contrarian and buy a pullback of 3 days and lean on that and trust that level. And these are the kind of ones where you can look back in hindsight and go, oh, why didn't I see that? So I'm going to try and hang on for dear life. Another high in CRNC. XRPI. Let's look at the actual XRP chart. Still a few cents off highs. All right, guys, I'm going to be here another 5-7 minutes or so. If you're late and you were holding on to a question or you want to look at a chart before I go, we can look at something. Hertz, I need this one to turn around. Let's see what this one's doing. So this one's under pressure. It's like giving me 2 different looks, right? It's telling me in the short term, beware. There's some sellers here. But there's 20% short. And it is on an uptrend, higher low, higher low, higher low. Now we've got a perfect wedge, a perfect bullish flag. And so I'm going to anticipate. I'd take this one home if it looked like this right here. I'll keep it for sure. So here's a great example of me anticipating something that's showing its true colors. It's been strong. It's got a high short float. It's just kind of waxing back and forth in a nice wedge. That's why they gave this particular pattern a bullish name, a bullish flag pattern or a pennant. It's basically the price coiling, buyers, sellers in control, buyers in control, sellers in control, and then eventually it resolves. Ideally, it resolves in the direction it's trending. I think, Patrick, I think there's a lot going on with this DC vote with gold and silver. And it comes down to the CBDC, the central bank digital coin. If they can find a way to legislate that and it bans the central bank digital currency coins and allows stable coins like RLUSD and others to play the part of the stable coin outside of the Fed, I wonder how gold and silver are going to react. That might be just a major shot across the bow to whole theory of the banks holding silver and gold down with paper, synthetic paper shorts. This could be the beginning of the unwinding. I'd pray. I'd love it. I'd love to see that be the case. So that's one of the reasons I'm sitting in some of the silver exposure. Yeah. What's the new XRP ETF going to be? Do we know? Government wants to have a digital dollar, but they ain't going to get one. That's why I think this is so critical. We are at a major crossroads right here. I don't think people realize how major this is. We are building out the infrastructure and the rails of a new digital economy globally. And a central bank digital coin currency has no place in it. The third party stuff can take care of that just fine. And by that, I mean Ripple, XRLP. I'm sorry, the XRP ledger is where I think a lot of assets, art, vehicles, boats, real estate, bonds, everything's going to be tokenized, digitized. And I think the XRPL ledger will be the preferred one. And I think for settlement, the RLUSD is small right now, but that's Ripple's stable coin. That will gain tremendous traction if this legislation bans a digital central bank digital coin. So we're at a major, major crossroads here. This is going to be a huge victory. And that's why, it didn't pass, because some of the smart congressmen were saying, no. This has to be protected. We can legislate all we want for, creating a pathway for digitals, but it simply cannot and will not include any sort of central bank involvement. And that's a huge, huge deal. I can't say that enough. I've been buying Ripple for 3 years, and I've heard it all, and I've sat through all the trash talk. To it. Rum's holding that 10 SMA. There's a perfect example of what I want to see. So it's beautiful intraday momentum hold there. And one last thought, for people who talk about stuff like, well, what's the XRP? Okay, what's the market cap? Market cap doesn't matter because it's a payment processor. The only thing that's going to matter is how much tokenized assets are piling up in quadrillions on the ledger. And the more quadrillions that pile up, the more transactions of those assets are going to be taking place. And the more those transactions are taking place, the higher the price of XRP will need to be to facilitate constant turnover or velocity, because every single payment from one currency to another across the country is going to have to go through a currency conversion, and that's what XRP does in about 3 seconds. And so that's why when people talk about, oh, Ripple, what's the XRP, what's the market cap? Market cap don't matter. UXRP, okay, thank you for that. UXRP, I'm going to right click and add that to my 401k watch list. It's been trading a couple days, it looks like. All right, guys, talked out. I got to run, got some meetings to come up to, but good stuff as always. Just so you know, my plan is to hold this GFAI through tomorrow and then become a seller, flip to the sell side tomorrow. In a perfect world, I get a big gap and I'll just sell the gap. So other than that, UAVS needs to hold that 5-day. We're close here. All right, guys, I got to run. So always a pleasure. Andy will be in tomorrow, and talk to you next time. Bye.